Electricity. Electricity, you see, Coulomb scientist who was basically a civil engineer, but because of his deep interest in physics, he contributed a lot to electricity. Today, even for the unit of charge, we can't ignore his name. Coulomb, a very famous unit, is behind his name only. Now, as far as the historical points are concerned regarding charge, first of all, we have to quote the name of Franklin, who basically introduced the types of charges. He was a scientist who told that charges are of two types. And then the number comes that of Coulomb, who finally said that because of torsion balance method, he could find the value of charge, inverse square law. He was the person to establish it. And then in 19th century, the contribution of Michael Faraday and Maxwell was very prominent. Actually, Maxwell was a scientist or physicist who gave the idea of lines of force. He is the scientist who introduced the concept of electric field. Then comes the serial of Maxwell. Scientist Maxwell introduced the concept of unifying electric and magnetic field. In fact, he introduced the idea that both the fields are responsible for the propagation of electromagnetic waves. That is what we call light today. Then in 19th century, rather 1897, J.J. Thomson discovered electron. By discovering electron, there was a basic change in the field of physics, especially in the field of electricity. Prior to that, we had an opinion that charges flow because of positive charges, but when electron was discovered, everything took shape of U-turn. Then comes the number of Millikan, who performed one experiment prominently known as oil drop method. Through this method, he could establish the value of charge on fundamental particle electron. Then in 20th century, you see, two theories are very prominent, backbone of modern physics. One is relativity and the other is quantum theory. Quantum theory, in fact, clarified the vision of interaction of two charges because it introduced one basic new concept that when charges interact with each other, there is exchange of photons. Now, we would highlight certain basic features of charges. You see, charge is fundamental in nature, but it is not a fundamental quantity. It is a derived quantity. It is scalar in nature. It has got nothing to do with the direction. Charges are assigned with only masses. In other way, I would say that a body having the mass can only acquire the charge. If somebody says A is having the charge, it simply means that first of all A is having some mass. So, we can say in short precisely that charges are associated with mass only. Charges are invariant. It is a technical term, and this was first of all introduced while dealing with modern physics. When we say charge is invariant, it simply means unlike mass. You see, mass increases when the speed increases. What about the charge? Charges are invariant means they don't just change. Whatever be the speed of the object or the charged object, but the charge on it is not going to make any difference. One more thing we have to remember, that when charge is accelerated, something to do with Bohr's theory and all that it interacts with. When charges are accelerated, always they radiate some energy, some radiation, and those are basically electromagnetic radiation. All the properties we have covered, you see, charge is always associated with mass. charge is invariant, charge is scalar and derived quantity, and finally, above all, suppose there are two objects. You never know what is the type of charges on them. You even don't know whether they are charged or they are neutral. You bring them closer and you experience attraction between the two. You can never decide firmly whether they are positive, they are negative. Their nature of charges you can't decide. But when there is repulsion, it becomes 100% sure that they are having opposite charges on them. So, in one line, we would say a golden line that the force of repulsion is the surest method of checking the nature of charges. Whenever you want to check the nature of charges, you have to see whether there is attraction or repulsion. If it is repulsion, you are 100% confident. If it is attraction, you need the continuation of that very experiment.